Hi everyone, Meteorologist Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone is having a nice Thursday morning. Have some cooler temperatures in the forecast for the day today for some parts of the state, but again, probably the big headline in the forecast, both short-term and long-term, is going to be looking at some new record highs for the day on Saturday. Not just daily record highs, but we'll be also within the ballpark of some all-time October record high temperatures, especially here in Lincoln and in the southeastern parts of the state. So we'll be taking a look at that. But it is Thursday, and that means it is Drought Monitor Day. So we want to take a look at the latest drought monitor that was just released in the last hour and kind of see where we're at. Starting off with where we were at this time last week. Again, this was the drought monitor that was released last week, and again, we really haven't seen any meaningful moisture probably for the last 8 to 9 weeks. Probably have to go back to the storm we had on July 31st, when again we had 85 mile an hour winds here in Lincoln. Tremendous amount of tree damage was the last time we really saw any significant moisture here in the capital city. Again, the last 2 months we've seen less than 2 inches of rain. Had one of the driest Augusts on record. It was top 20 or top 25, I think, and then in September we had the 4th driest September on record. So again, lawns are crispy out there. Again, it has just been awfully dry. And so drought conditions have been getting just a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse over the last 2 months or so. So last week, again, when we had the drought monitor released, we had additional expansion of drought conditions across the state. Still had kind of parts of central Nebraska there, kind of just along and north of the interstate from central Nebraska out to the panhandle that were still drought-free. Again, and the good news with all this, no extreme drought, no exceptional drought in the state, but again, some abnormally dry to severe drought conditions across the state as of last week. We look at the new drought monitor that was just released this morning, and again, we can see some changes in there in that we've basically filled in that area along the interstate from out near Grand Island and Hastings over towards North Platte. That has now been filled in now with some abnormally dry conditions. We've also seen expansion of severe drought into parts of extreme southwestern Lancaster County, western Gage, most of Jefferson counties, southeastern parts of Saline County. Also have kind of a spot there of severe drought up near Tacoma, just to the northwest of Norfolk, near Ainsworth into parts of Cherry County. Severe drought across the northwestern corner of the state. We've also saw some, again, it's not in Nebraska, but expansion of extreme drought kind of along the I-25 corridor there in eastern parts of Wyoming. So again, continuing to see the expansion in drought conditions. If we look at the change map, again, you can see these areas all in yellow are areas that the drought got one category worse. So again, that was the big filling in of the drought kind of there across the middle stripe of the state, kind of along and just to the north of the interstate. So again, drought conditions just continue to worsen across the state. If you look at the stats, we now just have 7%, a little over 7% of the state that right now is drought-free. 44% of the state under abnormally dry conditions, 34% of the state under moderate drought, and 14% of the state under severe drought. Again, still holding on, still don't have any extreme or exceptional drought across the state, but again, at this point, it's just a matter of when and not necessarily if, especially looking at the forecast over the next week to 2 weeks. There really is no relief in sight for these dry conditions that we've seen. So again, you can see at this time last year we had less drought across the state, but we did have some extreme and exceptional drought, so we're not there quite yet. Again, right now, everything's just kind of really dry, but not really dry just yet. But again, like I said, that's probably a matter of when and not if, based on the forecast over the next week to 2 weeks and some of the longer range outlooks. If you look at the National Drought Monitor, again, it's pretty easy to spot where a pretty powerful hurricane recently just dropped some catastrophic rainfall where areas had some catastrophic flooding. There is currently no drought anymore across really any of Florida, any of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, much of Virginia. So again, those areas were absolutely pounded by Hurricane Helene. And again, just really some awful conditions in those areas. The silver lining, if there is any, to that is, again, there is no more drought in those areas. In fact, if you look at the national change map, you very rarely ever see more than a one-class improvement or one class getting worse, and we actually saw a 3-class improvement across parts of northern Georgia, western North Carolina, and western South Carolina with the amount of moisture that they had. So again, you very rarely see that. It's only, and again, those really high rainfall events that we end up really seeing that, but we did see that in this case. So again, really some awful conditions out there for those folks in the Appalachians, in the western Carolinas. But again, they are drought free now. So if that is there's one piece of good news out of all of it, it might just be that. Still looking at some areas there across parts of West Virginia into southeastern Ohio that continue to see some worsening drought conditions. Also continue to see some extreme and exceptional drought across southwest Texas, down near El Paso, and the high plains from eastern Wyoming up into the western Dakotas have continued to see those drought conditions worsen over the last several weeks. If you look at the national drought stats over the course of the last year, again, we did see a little bit of improvement, a little bit of drought reduction from last week to this week. Have just over 29% of the country under no drought conditions, just 0.5% under any exceptional drought, just over 2% under any extreme drought, about 40% of the country right now just abnormally dry. But again, highest it's been basically over the course of the last year. Things have just been kind of getting progressively worse since late June, early July, with drought expansion across not only the state but across the country as well. So taking a look at your weather headlines as we head through the day today, we are tracking another cold front that's going to be cutting across the state pretty slowly. So again, it will offer some relief to parts of central and western Nebraska for the day today. We're still going to be well above average here in eastern and southeastern Nebraska. That front will finally move through, though, as we head tonight into the day tomorrow. Temperatures will be cooler. It will be overall a fairly nice Friday, but again, it will still be an above average Friday, I think, with highs up around 80 degrees for many areas when we should be in the lower to middle 70s. And then, like I mentioned at the top, looking at potentially near record highs on Saturday, and again, potentially all-time October high temperatures on Saturday as well. Low temperatures this morning, not too bad. Upper 30s to upper 40s across the state. Here in Lincoln, we dropped down to 48 degrees at the Lincoln Airport, 52 in Beatrice. It was 44 in Grand Island, 39 in Ogallala this morning. In the Lincoln Metro, those temperatures were a little bit warmer. It was generally lower to middle 50s across the Lincoln Metro. Right now in Lincoln, again, mainly sunny skies, 59 at the airport, 56 at the studio, a northeast wind at around 7 miles an hour. Temperatures across Lincoln right now generally in the mid to upper 50s, a few low 60s that are currently on the board. Statewide, it's still anywhere from the middle 40s to right around 60 degrees, including right at 60 in Norfolk. It's 54 in Broken Bow, 53 in Thedford, 45 right now in Chadron. Winds, again, you can see behind that front, have generally turned to the north and to the northeast at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Again, I think that front is basically going to kind of either stall out, slowly wobble its way through the southeastern corner of the state as we head through the day today. Satellite radar picture is quiet. There is a little bit of cloud cover out there, but again, unfortunately, it's just clouds and no moisture. We would love to see it. If you look at the visible satellite imagery, we can see that band of cloud cover across parts of northern and western Nebraska, a little bit more cloud cover as you head across parts of North Dakota and South Dakota, but again, no moisture expected with this front as it moves through. If you zoom out and look at a regional view, there is some moisture across parts of the Dakotas with that system, but again, we will be unlucky and will not see any of that moisture. If you zoom out even further, not a whole lot going on right now across the country. There is a system down in the Gulf and into the Caribbean that we'll keep an eye on that is being monitored for potential development. You also have Hurricane Kirk that's right now currently out over the open Atlantic. It's expected to remain out over open waters. And you also have Tropical Storm Leslie, newly formed Tropical Storm Leslie. It is, again, just not too far off. It's in the central Atlantic, not too far off the coast of Africa. It's expected to develop into a hurricane here as we head over the next couple days. We'll keep an eye on it. Right now, it looks like it's going to remain mainly over the open ocean areas through early next week. But again, we'll keep an eye on it. But again, quiet right now across much of the country. If you look at the weather alerts that we currently have on the board, there's not a ton. We do have some wind alerts, some high wind watches that are currently in place across parts of Montana and into South Dakota. That's for Saturday morning into the evening time frame. We have some Fire weather watches, again, Friday morning into Friday evening for parts of Wyoming. Again, dry and breezy conditions expected in those areas. Even some air quality alerts there across parts of Wyoming. And again, some continued excessive heat warnings across parts of the desert Southwest. Their actual temperatures are going to be into the triple digits today. Again, more heat in the desert Southwest, which is not all that surprising. We check out Skycast as we head through the day today. Again, not a lot to talk about. That cold front will continue to slide through the state. I think we'll see some cloud cover at times, but overall another mostly sunny day. By late this afternoon, could see partly cloudy skies across parts of northern and northeastern Nebraska. No moisture expected, though. That cloud cover kind of shifts into the southeastern part of the state by late tonight with those northeasterly winds. That'll be a bit breezy at times today. Could see those gusts up to around 30 miles an hour. So again, we will notice the wind as we head through the day today. Then overnight tonight and into Friday morning, that cloud cover clears out. Should start our Friday with mainly clear skies, and then plenty of sunshine heads our way as we head into the day on Friday. Again, should be a fairly nice day for most of the state. That wind will pick up again a little bit out of the south, and that's going to lead to temperatures climbing back up. That wind will really ramp up, though, as we head Friday and into the day on Saturday. We could see southerly winds gusting as high as 40 to 45 miles an hour through the day on Saturday, and with those winds, with the dry conditions, we'll see critical fire conditions across the state. We'll also see our temperatures surge well into the 90s out ahead of a cold front that's going to be cutting its way across the state Saturday afternoon into the evening. So again, you have the wind driving the warmth. You also have some compressional warming from that front advancing from the west and from the northwest. And that's what's going to send those temperatures soaring into the 90s. Behind that front, or as that front moves through, I should say, we would love to see a little bit of rain. Unfortunately, we're not going to squeeze anything out. Behind that front, winds swing around to the north and to the west. They will be breezy to windy as we head through Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. So again, Huskers kick off at 3 o'clock against Rutgers. It will be very hot. It will be windy through the course of that game. So again, plan accordingly, especially if you're going to be sitting in the direct sun during that game. Conditions, again, will be pretty brutal there for a while. Into Saturday evening, then, that wind eventually should settle down just a little bit. 7-day precipitation potential, again, not a ton to look at here as we look at the national view. Again, zooming in on the regional view, really, again, nothing expected across the state as we head over the course of the next 7 days. Temperatures today, again, one of those days with a wide range, upper 60s in the far west to the upper 80s in the southeast. In Lincoln, we're going to go 83 degrees for the day today. Our normal high is, I believe, 73 today. So again, we're still about 10 degrees above average. Lows tonight will be chilly in the west, where temperatures are expected to drop into the middle and upper 30s for areas like Valentine, Ainsworth, Thedford, North Platte, Broken Bow, Ord, O'Neill. We won't be quite that cold in southeastern Nebraska, where it'll be mid to upper 40s to even mid 50s in Falls City and Nebraska City overnight tonight. And then Friday afternoon doesn't look bad, mid to upper 70s to right around 80 degrees for most of the coverage area. These numbers for some spots are close to where we should be for this time of year, but still above average for early October, including that 79 in Lincoln, about 5, 6, 7 degrees above normal for this time of year. Saturday morning, not quite as cool. We'll look for lows in the upper 40s to upper 50s across the state. And then Saturday afternoon, again, mid-90s, low to mid-90s for much of southern and southeastern Nebraska, including 95 in Lincoln, 96 in Beatrice and Falls City. Will be cooler as you head further to the north and to the west behind that front. That will arrive a little bit quicker. So temperatures in the upper 70s, low 80s for the far northern parts of the state. And again, will be windy. Those south winds potentially gusting as high as 40 miles an hour or more throughout the day. There won't be any humidity, so it's not going to be humid, and so we won't have to deal with that. But again, very hot and very windy for the day on Saturday. Saturday night into Sunday, temperatures drop mid-30s to low 50s from west to east across the state, and then cooler temperatures arrive for the day on Sunday behind that front, but again, still above average, upper 70s, low 80s across the state. Unfortunately, again, we'd love for temperatures to continue to dip down even further, but again, temperatures just continue to climb from there. Below 80s again on Monday, mid-80s on Tuesday, upper 80s by next Wednesday. Again, warm, dry, mainly sunny. Again, just continuing to see more of the same in our weather, and it really is for us in the Weather Center getting really pretty boring. And for folks who are hankering maybe for some fall-like weather, leaving folks a little bit disappointed. 10-day forecast for select cities across the state. Again, you can see Saturday really sticks out with those 90s, a little bit cooler on Sunday, but then temperatures warm back to mid to upper 80s to right around 90 degrees for a good portion of the work week next week and into the following weekend. Again, for Lincoln, 98 degrees is the all-time October high temperature. We've had 198. I believe we had 2 96s. We've never had any 95s. We've had a handful of 94s. So again, 95 would be one of the hottest temperatures ever recorded in the month of October for us here in Lincoln and for many areas there in the southeastern corner of the state. And then unfortunately, you look at the precip potential over the course of the next week. Again, there's a couple 10% on there, but otherwise it's basically coming up zeros across the board over the next 10 days. And again, unfortunately, more of the same. When you look at the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, this takes us October 10th through October 16th. Very good odds for continued above average temperatures across much of the plains into the northern plains. Again, so just more of the same, more 80s in the forecast over the next week to 2 weeks. And then again, more dry conditions. Again, although we do see some green, some probability of above average precip beginning to sneak into the four corners. So again, hopefully we'll continue to see the green expand and the brown shrink up a little bit. But again, at least in the short to medium and even to the early part of the long-term forecast, there's really no changes. Again, looking at hot, looking at warm, looking at dry conditions, some occasional cold fronts that kind of knock things down just a little bit, but don't knock them down far enough to really see more seasonal conditions. It's cooler, but it's still above average, but it's not seasonal. So again, still waiting for some of those fall-like temperatures to arrive. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching as always. Again, live right now in the 1011 Now streaming studio, live on 1011 streaming platforms, and live on the 1011 YouTube channel. Again, if you're on that YouTube channel, I'll tell you to like and subscribe, do a ton of different stuff from there throughout the day. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and for watching. Until next time, hope everyone has a nice Thursday and hope everyone has a nice weekend as well.